So here we are. Yeah, it was kind of funny. I ended up planning on going to a few different places. I got to the, what was the place called? DYK, the American shipping company that ships up to Canada using U.S. Post. I got there and then I ended up going to a really, really cool antique bookstore where I picked up what I consider 4 books that are integral to the, I don't know what you want to call it, formation of modern preparedness. They're really neat. I'm going to share them with you guys in a show some evening. I didn't have time to put them all together tonight, but it's something I've been looking for in order to put together my next episode of the history of modern preparedness. So let's get the announcements out of the way, guys, and then we'll get on to the random generator questions, or the random question generator, however you want to call it. There we go. Chris Dixon says, you said a Saskatchewan goodbye where goodbye takes 30 plus minutes. Works that way on the East Coast where I grew up as well. So who do we get in here? Hey, I see Josh Sloan. Hey, buddy, good to have you pop in for a minute. No problem at all about the reschedule. It happens. I've done it to people. It happens to everybody. So don't worry a bit. Byron, good to have you. Martinson family, good to have you. So this Wednesday night, we're going to try something different. We're going to have a workshop watch party where we are going to, I assume we're going to use Telegram. That's what I've been trying so far. We're going to do National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the most quotable movie on the planet, at least in my opinion. So we're going to sit around. You can either watch it, you can join the live stream, or you can just watch it. Now, it's totally not something we can do on YouTube because they'd shut it down for content. So we're just going to sit around and converse, maybe have a couple of drinks, and watch the movie. It's going to be really, I'm just excited. I've been wanting to try something like this for a while. Going to be kind of a little bit of a copy of Liberty Late Night setup, and, you know, kind of give our own Mystery Science Theater 3000 bent to it. So that's kind of cool. Next, guys, let me know when you start receiving, Brian Young over on Telegram says, watch party, yes. Navigating the Nonsense. I'm one of the few people on the planet who have never seen that movie. Good to have you, Navigating. Love to have you. But you're missing out. Totally fine that you haven't. I won't judge you completely, but it's okay. So, Patch of the Month Club, guys. I know it's Christmas and things are taking longer to get there, but if somebody out there would let me know when you get your first patch, because I ended up resending most of last month's. I resent all of last month's patches along with this month as well, just to make sure everybody got it. I'm not sure if anybody's seen this month's patch yet, so I'm not going to unveil it, but just keep an eye out. Anybody gets one, let me know. Then I know they're finally making it there. I think I found a more permanent solution using this exact same company. Oh, hey, it's Apartment Prepper. Good to have you. She changed her name. Navigating the Nonsense. I like it. So yes, just let me know, guys. And if you guys are interested in getting in on the Patch of the Month Club, patchofthemonth.co. Easy. Oh, Brian Young got... Yes, thank goodness. Thank you, Brian. That makes me feel so much better. I was kind of worried they weren't going to show up just because I've had so much trouble last month. So anyway, perfect. That makes me infinitely happy because I did not want to let you, even though it was completely out of my control, I did not want to let you guys down. So there we are. Look, just got in the mail 100 roll of American stamps. So it's good to have. I've got a really good system coming up to get this worked out for you guys. I'll fill you in as it goes, but always trying to keep on things. Now, the cool one, last one. Becky and I are going to be a guest on the Holstein Host podcast with Robin Holstein Wednesday. It's going to be, I realized after the fact that I scheduled our recording with her the same time that Fireside Freedom is supposed to be. And Yozik wants to know if stickers are coming. Yeah, I think so, Yozik. We're going to try to do a sticker thing the first of the year. I just want to make sure when I'm ready to launch it that it's, as ready as the Patch Club was. So yes, we'll get you some stickers going before too long. So we're going to be, I'll have a link for you guys as soon as I have it, but I'm quite excited. So Becky and I are going to be on Robin's podcast, and we're going to talk about the tools and the gear and that sort of thing that women should have on hand, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. But I'm excited. Always love being on other podcasts. I know, let me see. I also have Matt from Farm Hop Life. I told him I'd be on his show, and I haven't filled out his guest form yet. So I say that out loud so that this week I will remember to do it because I'm that, Anyway, so today's tool is the KLEIN Voltage Pen. Talk about it all the time. That thing is absolutely great. And yeah, I don't want to say it's a lifesaver because you should never depend on a piece of gear that separates you from electricity, but it's really good to get you going and to say, oh, that's a live wire, don't touch it, right? So there we are. Anyway, great. Yeah, beyond that, guys. Oh, I also threw in the comments a link. Actually, you know what? I'll throw that up here now in the live chat as well. That is to Robin's podcast. Follow her on Fountain if you can. Holstein House. Really, I think she's got 13 or 14 episodes out there so far. So I put together a bunch of, it's like one of these community feedback episodes, guys. So there's a lot of the generator questions in there, but the one I wanted to start with, oh, and I also have some boostergrams for you. So I'm always excited to share my favorite boostergrams from the last week. But the first one was actually this came from a boostergram, Tim Galwick. And this was from the comments on an episode on YouTube. He said 3 minutes in, and I already had to rewind and watch it over. He says, I don't know if you realize how much content you put in the first 3 minutes of that episode, but you should do a show on the apps, the social media platforms, how you use them, if they're useful. Like you mentioned, he said, I don't know Twitter, Rumble at all, but I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to use them. So I thought, hey, I just did the 21 more tips for content creators, which I love putting those together. But one thing I never talked a whole lot about in that episode was social media. So I thought, let's start with let's get them out of the way. I'm going to list all the social medias that I use, good, bad, and ugly. Tell you a little bit about how I use them, the benefit of each. And here's the other thing, guys. I would love to expand to 2 or 3 or 4 more platforms if there's a like-minded crowd. You know, if you guys know platforms where there's a decent crowd, freedom-minded, you know, love to find some more anarchists, some more preppers, some more freedom-loving folk. So if you find some that are working for you, not ones you've tried and you hate, although you can tell me about those too, but if you are on any of the other alternative platforms that are working for you, let me know. So the first one I want to mention is Telegram. And I think I talked about this the other day, but this goes back to Amy Digman kind of razzing me and telling me, well, not even just, I was always hearing about how much she loved Telegram and how she loved the interaction on there and that kind of stuff. So I took a chance and I launched a workshop Telegram group probably before I thought I was even big enough to do such a thing. And it has taken off like gangbusters. It is our favorite place, the best place to hang out. Brian Young's actually over watching the chat live there this evening. And it's our go-to. It's the place we go to hang out whenever, it's an ongoing chat where we can share information, bring information together, and just, do what we do. And here, I'm going to bring up there. Give me one sec. There is, so if you haven't joined Telegram before, I tell you guys this all the time. But here's the thing. You don't need to join a whole bunch of different social media platforms. But if you're not on Telegram, it is totally worth doing. It's just our place where we hang out as a community. So give yourself a chance, download the app. If you absolutely hate it, delete it. But I think once you come in and start chatting and carrying on with all our fellow workshop community members, I think you won't regret it. So give it a shot. But I love Telegram because it's the closest thing, it's the best thing we have as a community platform. And it's, for the most part, censorship free. Not a whole lot of monitoring and that sort of thing goes on over there. So the next one is the big F, Facebook. I'm streaming on 2 different Facebook pages right now, my workshop page and my all seasons maintenance page. Facebook is still one of the big dogs in the field. Byron says, I love Telegram so far. Yeah, it's great. And the channel isn't too busy that you can't keep up with it. So Facebook, I know. And I totally get it if you guys aren't using Facebook or if you give up on it, because there's a ton of censorship, a ton of heavy-handedness over there. And, if I ever get kicked off, well, it happens. It's gone. I'm gone. Whatever. But there's a huge audience over there, a huge group of people who haven't maybe heard the gospel of preparedness or a lot of the stuff that I teach and share. So that's why I'm there. Plus, it's still the place where, other than YouTube, my largest audience is. And it's a place, like I said, if at some point I get shut down or turned off over there, well, it happens. But until then, I'm going to keep reaching out and evangelizing to everybody over there, in the sense that I'm going to keep sharing the content and what I love to teach. And hopefully people will grab a hold of it and come over and join us on some of these freedom-minded platforms. YouTube. Well, that's where we are right now. YouTube is my biggest moneymaker. So there's that. I do a ton of tour view videos, that kind of stuff over on YouTube, but I love it. It's the place where all the eyeballs are. It's not bulletproof, but it's pretty damn close. It's so much more reliable than any of the alternative video platforms, although they're getting better, I will say. I have, other than TikTok, YouTube is my largest following. It's a great place. It's the best place right now to make content just based on ads. Make money from your content based on ads. Everything starts somewhere. And of course, anybody who is freedom-minded always wants to get their income coming away from those platforms. So I'm working toward that. But YouTube is the place to start if you're making content. YouTube and TikTok. Instagram. Of course, Instagram and Facebook are the same thing, but Instagram has turned into TikTok Lite. I'll talk a little bit about the Shorts platform that I'm using right now, but I like Instagram quite a bit. It is a very slow slog on there. I've yet to figure out hashtags completely, but I do like Instagram. It's a really fun place to just throw up some pictures with a quick description, or my favorite thing, memes, to get on there and share them, right? But yeah, Instagram's great, and it puts you in front of a lot of eyeballs. I like that. I'm coming up on 1,000 followers, and it's been like 3 years, but most of that growth has come just recently. So let's tie all this in. So we're gonna, there's a few more platforms I want to talk about, but Navigating said she deleted her Instagram account. Totally get it if that's what you're up for. Like I said, I'll put myself in front of all the eyeballs until I can't. But, so we're going to talk about TikTok, we're going to talk about Instagram, we're going to talk about YouTube, and we're going to talk about Facebook right now. And that is the things, right now, I would say the biggest area for growth if you're a new content creator, and I'm going to give you guys an example that is incredible, but is 60-second short vertical videos, the TikTok videos, right? TikTok's expanding the length of video you can put out there, but 60 seconds is still the standard. So I make a vertical video or a vertical version of my horizontal videos. You can upload it to YouTube Shorts, which is good. TikTok, which is great. Facebook right now, which Joseph Mills from Mills Construction has just gone crazy with his growth over there. But the platform or the format or content format that is growing the most right now is 60-second vertical videos. To put that into perspective, this May is basically when I launched my TikTok account, because John Willis gave me a verbal spanking on a live stream we did, and he's like, hey, if you're not using TikTok, you're stupid. And of course, lots of people say, yeah, but China, I get it, right? But we're putting our content out there. We're content creators. We want to be on all the platforms. So I'm at like almost 9,000 followers there now. It's taken me almost 3 years to get to 6,000 on YouTube. So now, here's the next one. I haven't checked in a couple of days, but Eric from Porterhouse and Teal wanted to have me on his live stream to celebrate 500 subscribers. Well, in the meantime, he had a Shorts blow up, and he's like at 8,000 subscribers on YouTube right now. So it is a way to bring up eyeballs to your content as quick as possible. And the cool thing is you make one clip and then you upload it to all the places. Josh says, claim them all if you're a business. Only spend time on the ones that create value that you're looking for. Yes, that's what I'm gonna get into here in just a minute. And Dixon says, whatever you do, do not convert pages from personal to business. Make a new one. The algorithm will basically shadow ban you for some reason. That's good to know. And it sounds kind of like you've had some sad personal experience there, Chris. Now, here's where we're talking about, like Josh said, about claim them all and then put your time into the ones that make the most money or most return for you. Twitch is one of those. So this is something I will do. I'll basically put myself out there as a placeholder. So I have signed up. I have a Twitch account. I have a Twitch channel, whatever the hell the youngins call it. And I'm streaming to Twitch right now. Now, most times I'm up here, I'll get 1 or 2, maybe 4 viewers on Twitch. I have done 0 to promote it. I've done zero to build that audience at all. But it's there. It's a placeholder. When I'm ready to ramp it up and go crazy with it, I will do that. And I've done that with a lot of other things. TikTok was another one of those. Get it in place, get the systems in place, and then when you're ready to push it, go balls to the wall with it. Now, the alternative platforms, the one I've been on the longest is MeWe. That's MEWE.com. It feels like, I got to be honest. So I'm not going to have a ton of nice things to say about any of these alternative platforms. They're places, again, they're a bit of a stakeholder or placeholder place in case shit ever goes sideways and we have to regroup there. They're all good. I get good interaction. MeWe, I like the interaction I get on MeWe, but it feels like Facebook from 2008, 2009. It's okay. Basically, when I do a social media post, it gets copy and pasted from Instagram to MeWe to Facebook. Sometimes, don't forget about using your community tab on YouTube. I'm starting to get quite a bit of traction there as well. Don't spam people with it, but if you have a good deal or a really cool meme or something you're doing, throw it up there. Share other people's videos. But MeWe's not bad. If you've used Facebook, you can use MeWe. The one that really kind of breaks my heart is Float. I was a huge evangelist for Float. That's flote.app. And yes, Brian Young, you are right. Brian Young says over in Telegram that MeWe feels like they just stopped innovating. Yeah, it's like they just kind of hit a point and they're like, hey, we got a bit of a, we've hit kind of a critical mass of users and we're cool. We're good with it feeling like, late model MySpace or something. That's all. It just doesn't have any of the, I don't know. I don't love it. It's not the end of the world. It's a great place for the chat rooms, and it's a good place to interact and keep up with some people who aren't on the other platforms. Now, like I said, Float has really broke my heart because I was with, what do you want to call it? Right from the beginning, I really liked Float. I pushed it. I worked really hard into those, and it went really well for about 18 months. I saw tons of growth. I think I have about 1,400 followers over there. And at one point, I was gaining about 10 followers a day. I was getting probably, 10 or 15 comments on every piece I put up there. And then, what did they do? They released Float 2.0, whatever it was. And it all went to hell. They released the new edition. It went all buggy. They refused to fix it or just didn't have the ability to fix it for months on end. And the platform went. And so now I don't think I've gained 10 followers in the last 2 months on Float. I'll put up, I hate to say it, guys, but it's at the point where I have basically stepped away from Float. I will occasionally put a post up there, but I'm pretty much, we're streaming over there. I get zero traction at all now. It is a dead platform and it sucks because I really like Kingsley and Aaron. They were just, Chris Dixon said he got into Float just before the 2.0 was launched and then he lost interest. It had so much going for it until they launched 2.0. I've never been part of something that happened like that, where they basically did what everybody wanted them to do and launched the newer platform and it just went completely sideways. But there's just nothing left there. I get no traction. I get no new followers. So I'm basically done with Float, and that sucks because I really, really liked them a lot. And let's see. Odyssey, it's a bit of the same thing. So Odyssey is Odyssee. It's another alternative video platform. I've got about 600 followers over there. I've been on there for almost 3 years now. And what they do is they will automatically mirror my videos over from YouTube. So here's the thing. And the reason that I'm still on Odyssey is because it takes zero work to be on Odyssey. Once you've signed up, I don't know the exact requirements now, but when I first started, it was 100 followers. If you had 100 followers, they would automatically bring your videos over for you. Eventually, it takes a little longer now. But when you're first getting going and you're just putting content out, I always tell people, take your time, upload it to everywhere. And then once you get to the point where Odyssey will start pulling it over for you, hey, we got a sex bot in the chat today, guys. Let's get rid of them. Block user. Goodbye. Girl69XYZ. Hey, there you are. Okay, and they're back again. Let's see if we can get rid of them this time. Block user. Sorry, guys. So Odyssey, like I said, It's okay. Don't love it. Let's see. Brian said over on TikTok, he said, really wanted Odyssey to go, but they got screwed over by the SEC over the token sale. Yes, they did. Here's the thing. Jeremy Kaufman was on Jack's show quite a while ago, the guy who was the CEO. And then there's a couple things that happened. Jeremy, I want to say, and I hate to say this, but he made himself a target. He really went out and tried to, how do you want to put it? I hate to say this, but he was very open with how he wanted to fight the SEC. And there's nothing that pisses the government off more than when you really push it out there and say, guess what? I'm going to fight you. So I hate to make myself a target. I really do. And then there was a ton of infighting in there to the point where they split Odyssey and Library into basically two companies again. And I don't know what happened after that. So anyway, whatever happened, it's an okay platform. I really wanted them to succeed, but my stuff goes up there and it's there. We're streaming to Odyssey right now. I don't even go over and monitor the live chat anymore. It's just somewhere where my stuff goes. How about Rumble? Well, I'm slightly more optimistic on Rumble just because they seem to be the place that all the alternative places are going to. And it seems to be growing. They seem to get quite a bit of news. You know, they did that publicity stunt where they tried to get Joe Rogan to come over, whatever, right? Rumble is also a mirroring platform, so they will automatically pull your stuff over. I don't think... I like the interface on Rumble better. I also find that... how do I want to... there's no limitations. So they'll bring anybody over, and they won't limit with Odyssey. My stuff's limited to an hour. If it's longer than that, I have to manually upload it. And then their uploading got broken on Odyssey and a whole bunch of things. So there's that. So I know you're probably like, Tim, you're not very positive on any of these. Here's the thing, guys. Other than Rumble, because I've got like 125 followers over there, all of those platforms, even though they've ran their course and now they're maybe a bit stale or they're not running the way I wanted them to anymore, they all brought people to the workshop community. You know, specifically, a guy I can think of is Greg Arcade. You know, the opening theme song, great Canadian country artist, freedom-loving guy. And he found me, I found him on Rumble. Liberty Late Night, on Float. Liberty Late Night, we met each other on Float. So just because you think, well, this platform may not end. Yes. So Chris Dixon says, and that is the key right there. All these platforms are just a means to an end. Yes. And so if Float drops dead tomorrow and I don't use them anymore, that's fine. But guess what? A whole bunch of people found me, became part of the workshop community because of being on Float for a while. So don't be scared of trying a new platform simply because, well, it might die eventually. The best time to be on a platform is to be one of those leading edge early people, early adopters, because if you're putting good quality content on a platform early on, and I didn't expect this segment to go as long as it did, guys, but here we are. If you're putting good quality content on a brand new platform, your stuff is going to rise to the top really quick. You're going to grow really quick, and it's going to get in front of all the eyeballs as fast as possible. And the thing is, you're going to find the right type of eyeballs early on. So take a chance on some of these alternative platforms. Some of the other ones I tried and dropped out of eventually. Minds was one. I did not like Minds. It, again, felt a little bit like... I don't even know. It felt like 1990s or early 2000s social media kind of stuff. It just, I didn't dig it. I didn't get the traction. And another one, a guy that I really respect is Xavier Hawk with his Fire On platform. I get on there and I'm like, nope, not my group of people. See you later. And that was it. So you have to try some things, right? And Rachel says, I have enough going on with just Telegram. I found you from Jack. Exactly. And that is the key. You put yourself out there on all the platforms, but when it comes down to it, most times you're going to find somebody through somebody else. And I talk about collaboration all the time. And that is really how people, I send Jack 3 or 4 expert counsel segments a month, so everybody gets to find out about me through that. I go on other people's podcasts. I have other people on here. That is the best way to get out there. But it doesn't mean skip social media, because it's a necessary evil. I love the platforms that I can interact with. And like I said, guys, if you have some suggestions for other platforms that you're on that you like, let me know. And if you don't, that's okay too. There we go. I missed a couple from Brian Young over on Telegram. He says, Rumble has invested a lot of money. Glenn Greenwald, the journalist, has a show over there. Well, that makes sense. Yes, I know Glenn a little bit. And he said Glenn was one of the journalists Snowden was talking to. So that gives him some street cred right there. Oh, and one more. Tag, they've launched Freesteading. Now, that's another platform where I basically just staked, I basically just put my name tag in the ground over there. And we'll see. I may get back to there. I may not. I don't know. I'd love to support it, but we have a placeholder community over there for the time being. And if it starts to grow, or I feel like it's a place worth putting some more time into, I'll be over there. So I don't know if I helped you or harmed you or hurt you. I'm not sure if I share, I just wanted you to have some of my thought process on how I work with social media, the platforms that I work with. And yeah, let's hope it helps you a little bit. So with that, let's get into, we may not get through all the content tonight, guys, and that's totally fine. Sal from YouTube said, hey, great video. And he said, what's the furthest distance you can run a portable generator on natural gas? Said, could I have a generator about 60 feet away and run a natural gas hose, or is there a limit of distance, or is it not safe to run it like that? My thought is I have a 12 by 20 shed that is basically empty and thought to run the generator from inside my shed, designated corner, blah, blah, blah. He said, I see all these videos of guys building these small plastic sheds with the fans in the side, and they want to know if 60 feet was too far away. Excuse me. So here's the thing. I just installed natural gas in my garage, which is about 75 feet away from the house. So what I would recommend is a couple things. First off, you need to find out what gas flow, how much gas you need coming to your generator to run it properly. You don't want to starve it of gas. That'll be a bad thing. Figure that out. Then you need to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Calculate the diameter of the pipe so that you can get the flow from your house to your shed. Now, what I would recommend is getting one of those direct burial lines. That's what I got, and I friggin' love it. One of those flexible yellow lines that you can dig a hole, bury it in the ground. So figure out what you need. My guess is you're going to need a 3/4 inch, but you want to have somebody a lot smarter than me figure that out. Hook it up at the house, and then have an outlet at the shed, and then you can use a quick connect from there. But that's what I would do. But yes, it's totally doable. Don't worry about that at all. But just if you're not comfortable installing gas lines, don't do that yourself. And make sure you talk to somebody to figure out how many BTUs, how much gas flow you need at the generator, and then figure out what line you need, because you lose, is it pressure or capacity? Anyway, the further out you go, the bigger the line you need, because you lose a little bit as you go. So there you go. I'm going to go back right here to, I want to call you apartment prepper, sorry, navigating the nonsense. Said, any thoughts on Mind, Guild It, BitChute, or Getter? Well, let's see. Minds, I did for about a year. Liked it, didn't love it, felt old-fashioned. I probably should still be posting there, but it just didn't get any traction at all. I think I got like 100 or a couple hundred followers. I get notifications every so often. Hey, you got a new follower on Minds. Kind of like Rumble. I get, actually the cool thing about Rumble is I get about a new notification for a new follower just about every day. But Minds was okay. I have no idea what guild it is. If anybody out there's had any experience with it, give it a shot. BitChute, used it in the past. It reminded me of when I used to download illegal BitTorrents. And when they first came out with the technology of being able to stream a torrent as you're downloading it. It was clunky, it was slow, it barely ever loaded properly. It felt like, BitChute always felt like Odyssey did those first few months when things were really slow and really glitchy. BitChute's okay. It's another platform like Rumble, like Odyssey, where you can upload. I think they'll even mirror it for you, but I don't know that for sure. And Getter, I haven't been there yet. It's one that I hear about on a regular basis, but I haven't gotten to get her yet. Let's put it that way. But yeah, Mines was okay. BitChute, and then Guild It, I don't know. And Getter is on my possible to-do list this winter. We'll see. Next, Eric said, hey, can I run my generator while the battery tender is attached and plugged in? Short answer is no. I'm sure there's some that have protection circuits in there, but here's the thing. Almost all generators have circuitry built in that will charge your battery while it's running. So that's the thing. You don't want to have two sources charging a battery at one time. You're going to have a bad day. So if you're running your generator, just unplug your battery tender from the wall. If you aren't running your generator, plug it back in. Simple as that. Rachel Brown says, getting late in PA. Got to get up. Love you all later, guys. Take care, Rachel. Always love having you in here. Edgar says, great video, Tim. This is about refilling the thermocell gas cartridges. But he said, what about the repellent on the mats? Is there a source we can spray on those mats to revitalize them? Ted asked me that the other day on Instagram. If you guys know Ted, the Emoji King. Great. So I'm working on it. Let's put it that way. I've had a hell of a time finding the elethrin in Canada in a, what do you want to call it? In something strong enough that it'll actually work. So yes, it's totally doable. In the meantime, if you look on eBay, there are some knockoff pads to save some money, but I'm gonna try it. Basically, use a little bit of blue food coloring and the poison or spray or whatever. But like I said, hard to find in Canada. So when I can get a source on it, I'll do a video on refilling those pads. I'm kind of excited about that. Andre on YouTube says, hey, can a sound isolation box be put on top of a generator that would reduce the noise but also protect from weather when running a long time in Canadian climate? Short answer is sure you can. Yeah, so Andre, if you're looking to insulate and soundproof a generator and you want to create some sort of enclosure to do that, you have two real considerations. The first is you want to make sure it's fireproof or at least seriously fire retardant. So you want to have insulation in there that's going to deaden the sound, but you don't want it to catch fire and burn up your generator or burn down your neighbor's house or something like that. So the one I like is Roxol. Some people call it wool fiber. Anyway, it's basically spun rock and it's completely fireproof, I guess. I guess anything will burn if you get it hot enough. But yeah, totally safe for putting it inside of a generator enclosure because you're going to have heat in there. Number two is your other consideration is ventilation. So if you're going to make a totally enclosed enclosure and drop it down over your generator, almost all generators now have a low CO or a high carbon monoxide level detector and auto shut off. So if you're not ventilating the room that it's in, eventually that's going to build up and it's going, yes, there's hey, my brother-in-law Barrett's and he says, make sure the generator can breathe, exhaust it out. Yes, exactly. So that's the other thing. So number one, make sure it won't burn down. And number two, you need ventilation, preferably from both sides. What really works, what I've seen a ton of people do, is one of those, it looks like an exhaust fan you'd see in a garage, but smaller. And they have regular 110 power, and you plug it directly into the generator. The cool thing is, if it's plugged in the generator's not running, it's not wasting power. But as soon as the generator kicks on, it's one of those fans that have those little shutters. It opens up and starts sucking the air through. You can have an intake valve, just like a shutter or something you can open and close to bring air in and then get that CO out or carbon monoxide out of there. So yeah, but yes, absolutely. I have mentioned this for about a year now. I do have plans on building some sort of generator enclosure. I'm excited to do it. I just want to make sure I have the time to commit to it so that I can make some really good content for you guys as we go. And good to have my brother-in-law Barrett Bishop in tonight. We just spent the weekend, the four of us, him and his wife and me and my wife, in the city, eating too much and, spending too much money at the stores. But we had a good time. Family's important, guys. Next is Hoke, Hoke from YouTube. This is about the Gen Tent. So if you guys have seen my video on that, it's that basically tent attachment to your generator that allows you to work outdoors. So this is what he said. I don't know if he's being smart or just saying, hey, I don't want to spend the money on the Gen Tent. And if that's what you think, cool, no problem. But he said, go to Walmart, Okay, cool. To the camping aisle. All right, I know where that is. Look for kiddie tents. Yep. Okay, no problem. They're cheap. Yeah, no shit. The kind for indoor camping. Okay. Might have a unicorn or a dragon on it, but for the price, well worth it. They use the typical flex rod to each corner, self-standing design. Cut the bottom out. After putting it together, now plop over your gen set. Ta-da! Stake it to the ground. One cheap rain cover. We have the green turtle version. $159 is legal robbery for the generator tent. Well, here's the thing. Totally get it. And if you're cool with that, I got no problem with it. Now, my thing is, I agree. The Gen tent is high priced, but it has some features built into it. You need to be honest with yourself. You're not talking apples to apples. You're comparing apples to oranges here now. There are features that make the Gen tent 100 times better. Chris Dixon just cracked me up. He said, use a kiddie tent from Walmart and you get a heat shrink cover for your Gen tent. Just like my barbecue cover. I put it back on the other day when it was just a little too hot, and now I have a nice little black look to the top of my barbecue. So here's the thing. Yeah, and like I said, the Gen tent is 100 times better than some SpongeBob SquarePants kiddie tent that you're going to find at Walmart. Here's the thing. The Gen tent is heat resistant, and basically it's not going to catch fire. That's a huge issue right there. It comes with a see-through window that allows you to see the controls without having to open it up. It comes with an open window at the top so you can open it up and fuel it up without needing to remove it. It comes with wind, rain, and snow load ratings. Does it justify the cost? Totally your call. But don't tell me in this instance that a $15 SpongeBob SquarePants or Disney Princess tent is the same as a purpose-built, fire retardant, third-party verified weather cover for your generator. That's all. I'm not, nobody's ever paid me to talk about Gen 10. I totally agree with you that it is awfully expensive. But if I were to want to do it the cheap way, I would probably build myself an insulated sound deadening cover before I would ever go get a tiny little kids tent that is all it's going to do, just like Chris Dixon said. It's going to heat up and it's going to shrink right to your entire generator, and then you're going to have a bad friggin' day. Oh, hey, Utah Mike, good to have you. He said, plywood a frame for my generator out west, not so much rain to deal with. Yes, yeah, I'm not too far north of you. I'm in Alberta. And yeah, plywood frame's great. I've actually seen videos online where people have just leaned a couple of sheets of plywood up against a generator and it cut the sound down by like half. It was crazy how much quieter it was. It wasn't perfect, but yeah. And Chris says, did I mention rock wool for insulation? Yes. Because here's the thing, there's a ton of different things you can use to insulate it. I love high density foam, like the pink or blue stuff that you can insulate walls and ceilings and foundations with. The problem with that is it heats up and it melts. So yes, rock wool is great. When we had the daycare first inspected, we had one issue where the ductwork was running through drywall. Never ever going to be an issue, but the fire marshal said you need to do something about it. I said, well, what do you recommend? He says, just get yourself some rock wool and stuff it right in there and you're totally fine. So there you go. But I love rock wool. You could hold I should do a TikTok on it sometime, because you can hold an open flame right to it and it's rock, so it's not going to burn. So yeah, hopefully that helps you a little bit. I thought I might have missed a couple questions here, guys. I seem to have flew through them pretty quick. Give me a second. Yep. Okay, boostograms. I got some boostograms, and then I got some questions I saved from Telegram that I like as well. But this one's from Smart Growth, and he said, I made a comment in one of the episodes about somebody on YouTube calling me a yippity yappity or something. I don't know. It was great. I love it. I love making fun of people who tear me down, who don't make content. So Smart Growth, I appreciated this, but he said, screw that yippity yappity clown. You're doing great. Thanks for continuing to provide value. He said, I've got the dog door and the freezer alarms in my Amazon cart. Love the support. Thanks for the kind words, Smart Growth. Always appreciate it. This is from Dan DeColo. This was from the top 5 Shit Hit the Fan 90s films that I did that episode a little while ago. I like this story. I had to share it. He said, The Trigger Effect, you guys know. And if Apartment Prepper is still in here, she loves that film as well. He said, The Trigger Effect, summer of 1996. I just turned 13. I remember seeing commercials for this movie and wanting to see it. Into the 2000s, I would randomly think about the movie, but I'd not figure it out, even when the internet was around. Said 6/18/15, so in June of 2015, said I finally saw the movie. The date is when the file was created on my computer. That makes sense. Said awesome movie, and it only took me 20 years to see it. Love that movie. Hi, Autumn Dawn. How are you? Good to have you in here, Autumn Dawn Endeavors. So I love The Trigger Effect. If you haven't watched it, totally worth watching at some point. Utah Mike, I will answer your question in just a minute. And 1 second, I am going to star your question. Steve John says his mind literally on women and views right now. I'm not sure what that means, but he's got a tongue sticking out for me, so it's good to have you. Appreciate it. Next, Clued, CLEWD, said, love the episode. I like this. This was the episode I did on sales, guys. He said, I did door-to-door alarm sales and worked as a salesman for AT&T. And the problem that I kept running into was I couldn't talk about the product, but I could talk about anything under the sun with every customer. So as a side note for this episode, I'd say try to find a way to use what you learn from every customer to get that sale if it benefits them. But like Tim says, if you can't scratch that itch, then send them to someone who can. Absolutely. I recorded 3 episodes, 3 Ramblings of the Road episodes while I traveled up and back from home to Edmonton this weekend. And one of them, I talk about a couple of really interesting people I met in the city this weekend. Here's the thing. Everybody has an interesting story. Everybody wants to talk about themselves. That's not a bad thing. I love to hear people's stories. So just let people talk. That's all there is to it. When you're doing sales, let them talk. They will tell you what they need. And then listen to them and figure it out. It's not hard, I promise. Next comes from JCR Madden. Talking about Nat, the preparedness guy. We'll have him on again. He's a good buddy of mine and the brother in preparedness for sure. He said, another great interview, another great connection, practical guy with practical advice. If that doesn't sum up Nat, I don't know what does. Practical guy with practical advice. Always a good conversation with him. So, I got some Telegram questions we'll talk about in a minute, but I want to talk about this question from Utah Mike. He said, what's your thought on generator size? I went with a small generator to help recharge power banks. He said, I want quiet and clean power. So, of course, there's so many ways you can go with this, but one thing that I will say is most people overbuy generators. So when they're thinking about what they need, they think, I need absolutely everything. Now, okay, first off, do you want to run your central air? If you don't, then you don't need as big a generator as you think you do. The cool thing about getting a smaller generator is, well, they're cheaper for starters, which is great. You can buy 2 of them. So you can have, 2 is 1 is none. And then you can link them up through parallel, which is also cool. So you can double your capacity. But if you go smaller, you're limited to what you can run. But again, I love the whole idea of cycling. So if you have a, 2,000, 3,000 watt inverter generator, well, you run your fridge for a half hour. You run your freezer for a half hour. You run your sump pump for a bit. You run your water pump for a bit, whatever it happens to be. So first off, really think long and hard about what it is you need in a drop-dead emergency to run for your generator to run. Okay, that's the first thing. I like inverter generators because they're quieter, they use less fuel, they're smaller, more reliable. There's so many good things about inverter generators, just a little more expensive for sure. Now, Chris Dixon says, a lot of people underbuy generators like me, so then I bought another one. Oops. Yeah, so that's the thing, okay? You can just as easily underbuy a generator too. I don't know. It's so hard to know. When it comes down to it, you need to figure out what fuel you want to run. You need to figure out how big of a generator you're willing to move around. You need to figure out exactly what you want to run with your house, because the problem is whenever Generators are like storage sheds. When you build a storage shed, there's a rule in storage, and it's the junk you have on hand will grow in direct proportion to the amount of empty space you have available. I noticed that when I was a kid working at the church, or when I was a kid, well, about a teenager, I'd help out with the youth group. And we always used to say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had a storage shed outside so that our furnace room wasn't always so full? Well, guess what? We got a storage shed. All we did was fill it full of useless shit. So then the furnace room and the storage shed was full. That's what happens. Junk grows to the ability of the storage space you have. Now, how does that apply to generators? Well, whatever you buy for a generator, you're going to find other things that you wish you could run with that generator. It's like buyer's remorse, you know. As soon as I buy a new DeWalt tool, I'm like, oh, Milwaukee just come out with something else. So think long and hard about the bare minimum basics you need, and then add 50% capacity to that, and that'll get you what you need, you know. You can go bigger, you can go smaller, but remember, you got to move that generator around, you got to set it up, you got to tear it down, and you need to know what the hell you actually need to run. Chris says, you got to think worst case scenario, not want case scenario. What do I need to run, not what do I want to run? Exactly. You know, would it be nice to keep your hot tub hot during a power outage? Sure. Is that a necessity? Not even friggin' close. You know, hot water? Yeah, hot water heater would be great. But unless you have a natural gas hot water heater, to run a hot water heater off a generator is going to be very, very difficult. So think about it. You know, what are the things? Okay, maybe I can't run my central air, but I can cool my bedroom or my living room with one or two portable air conditioners, you know, or window model air conditioners. So think smaller. Think, okay, what can I get by? Here's the other thing. Having a smaller generator allows you to store the same amount of fuel, but run it a lot longer, you know? Okay, Utah Mike says, no air conditioning needs for me. Needs to power a chest freezer and help recharge power banks. 3,000, 1,000, and a lot of DeWalt batteries. Yeah, you know, a small inverter generator is great for that. And the thing about an inverter generator, especially like those Honda EU 2000s and that kind of thing, you pick them up like a suitcase and you walk off with them, like the crackhead that did that with mine years ago. But yeah, so it's a great big it depends. So, you know, it's just as easy to overbuy a generator as it is to underbuy a generator. That's part of the reason that I bought my 3,000 or 3,500 watt inverter generator from Harbor Freight, because I absolutely love my tri-fuel Furman generator, but that is one big fucking generator. That thing weighs over 200 pounds when it's full of fuel, and it's heavy to roll around, and sometimes you just don't need that. Plus, I am not getting that generator loaded on my truck by myself. So if I need to go somewhere, I need something that I can lift. And the 3,500 watt inverter from Harbor Freight is about 100 pounds. I can pick that up and throw it up on a table or into my truck fairly easily. The downside is it only runs on gasoline. So Utah Mike, like I said, it's a great big it depends. But yeah, I think you made the right choice. You can all, and the other thing is, like I said, we all suffer from buyer's remorse. And as soon as we buy it, we're like, shit, I should have got more. So whatever you're looking at, guys, when picking a generator, do as much research as you can beforehand to figure out, this is what I need. This is how much power I need. This is the fuel I want to store, and on it goes. I can do a whole episode on that some night, guys. But yeah, that's a good start anyway for you, for sure. So then finally, I wanted to share with you guys some of the best questions that we've had, best discussions we've had over on Telegram. Barrett Bishop, my brother-in-law, says you need an engine lift to load it. Yeah, I do. Or a son who doesn't worry about hurting his back so much, because Mac could do it for sure. I mean, him and I together, of course, we could do it. So I picked some of the best conversation topics we had over on Telegram, because I want to get people to join the Telegram group for sure. I love the Telegram group. It is the place where we all hang out and just discuss things. So if anybody's thinking, hey, I'd love to join the Telegram group, I'm going to throw the link up for yet another time during the live stream. It's also, if you're listening audio, wherever you are, it's in the description. So come by and join. But so I didn't copy and paste everybody's solutions to these problems, but I'm just going to read them to you and then give you my thoughts on them. But they're always good. So it gives you a taste of what we talk about over on the Telegram group. This one was from Jarrett. Have you guys seen? He made me the really cool kind of tie-dyed Toolman Tim Workshop t-shirt at Self-Reliance Festival. He said, can anyone tell me how to download videos I've streamed to YouTube, or at least strip the audio? So yes, it's not that bad. He had a hell of a time. So we helped him work through it. It ended up, he found the solution later on. But if you've never done it before and you go into the YouTube studio, click on the video you want, and then click on the three dots. It will give you the option to download the video, which is great. It's easy, not hard to do. I'm just thinking now out loud that if it was something he streamed just recently, it takes about 24 hours before you can download it. Also, for audio, I just love, there are so many free YouTube strippers out there. Oh boy, that sounds wrong, Tim. So I don't even know the name of the one I used last time, but it used to be YouTube to MP3, but just type in YouTube to MP3 downloader. Just be careful you don't accidentally download some software. They're all the same. You type in the YouTube link that you want to download it from. They make you look at a couple of ads or something, and then they download the MP3 to your computer. But it works super simple, and it does what it's supposed to do. But that's all there is to it. Might take you a little while to get used to the system. You can use Audacity. I love Audacity, which is a great Windows platform. It's free for editing audio and that sort of thing. But yeah, for a long time, I just would stream to YouTube before I realized that StreamYard had audio downloading built in, which is great. So if you're using StreamYard and it records to your computer, you just hit download audio, and in about 5 minutes, you'll have the audio after the show. So there's that as well. Yeah, so hope that helps. Next is Cheatgrass Disrespecter. Got a couple of questions from him. He is a new member to the Workshop Community Telegram group. He said, I got a tool question. I rented a Honda Auger, aka a post holer, and it failed on 50% of the holes due to this densely packed volcanic clay. Now it's cold, but still willing to try. He says, same firm rents the teeter-totter style auger. Should I? Or should I nut up and hire a local farmer with a PTO tractor? Or should I use manual tools? This sucks, but works even at 5 American degrees. So first off, stay the hell away from manual tools if you can help it. No, I'm just kidding. But I was going to say nothing good ever comes from digging post holes by hand. It sucks, especially if you've got really tight compacted dirt. So it sounds like you used just a one-man unit. My son and I have rented the 2-man auger before. They're quite a bit bigger. They tend to have a bigger diameter shaft on them, and 2 guys can hold them. Yeah, so just be careful with something like that. But if you have help, first off, yes, try the 2-man auger because they're great, and they do tend to have a lot more power. Now, man, there's so many ways you can go with this. Yeah, I mean, if you got a guy with a PTO take off with a post hole digger, I'm sure my brother-in-law can chime in on this, but they tend to work really, really well. And let's just put it this way, I've never been disappointed or felt like I lost money by hiring somebody to do something with a machine that I would have had it done by hand. Now, the other thing you can try is wait until it has rained a metric shit ton. That will soften up the ground a bit in some areas. I've even seen guys make redneck, I don't even know what you want to call it, but okay, if you guys have ever seen those sand point wells, so they have like holes in them, and then they have a big point on the end, and you drive them down with a hammer. Well, I've seen people who have put pressure washer nozzles on the end of something like that and went down and pressure washed out the ground as they were driving it into the ground. So you may be able to use that to soften it up a little bit too, but I would certainly try the teeter-totter 2-man style auger first. But if you've got a guy that you can hire, I mean, most guys with a tractor aren't going to charge you an arm and a leg to come and drill some holes, and it's going to save you, because just think, if you first rented a handheld one and then you rent a teeter-totter one, and both of them don't work, how far could the money you've spent in renting those two go toward hiring a tractor? So sometimes it's just better to look ahead of time and say, oh, guess what? George Gavel up the cove from where we used to live down Digby Neck, he used to come down and do it for fairly cheap. So, just find a guy with a tractor and a PTO and a post hole auger, and you're all set. Oh yeah. Or Chris Dixon says a skid steer rental or hire as well. Yes, find somebody with that and you'll be golden. This one was just a comment from Cheatgrass Disrespecter. He says, thanks, Tim, for putting out podcast episodes on a Sunday. He said, in my very humble opinion, underrated market is Sunday podcast consumers. He said, I have 200 podcast subscriptions and only 3 of them release podcasts on Sunday. That was intentional. So I'm glad that it's working out for you. Thank you. Because I feel like Sunday gets me some extra eyeballs because I don't have any other competition. And I always thought, Jack from the Survival Podcast, he does Monday to Friday. And I always felt like, hey, the weekend's underserved. So maybe I'll do the stuff on the weekend. And so it's kind of worked out from Thursday to Sunday, which to me is kind of like an extended weekend. But thank you. It's always good to know when you try something, it's working. So I'm glad that that Sunday podcast fits your bill for you, because I always try to have some content out there. Next is also from Cheatgrass Disrespecter. Love the name. Said, a serious Canada question with a preface. He said, last winter, salt-based blue de-ice stuff wrecked the cement finish. First winter for me in a legit cold place, 5 feet of snow, blah, blah, blah. He said, today I got up early and removed the snow, but now it's an ice rink. How do I make walkway and driveway less lethal? Well, first, there's so many things, but they do make a ice melt that is safe for concrete. Now, it doesn't mean that it's 100% safe, and if you leave it there all winter, it's not going to still do damage. But there's a few ways to do it. First, use the stuff that's safe for your cement, number 1. But number 2, get rid of it before it's set there for too long. Let it do its thing and then blow it off, sweep it off, scrape it off, whatever it is. Because you don't want it to keep sitting there and chewing into the concrete. Now, there's some less invasive ways of doing it. 2 are sawdust or ash. Now, what I like about sawdust is it tracks, but it doesn't stain. Ash can stain. Now if you're burning old pallets and stuff, you want to be careful because you don't want to track nails and shit all over the place. But they both work really, really, really well. Also, use some sand. Sand is great, but whatever you do, put it down to melt whatever it is, and then get the aggregate up from there. Thanks for coming in, Utah Mike. Always appreciate you. Said he's got to go. Work comes early. Good program tonight. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Martinson family says, yes, your chats on Sundays are appreciated. Thank you. Always love it from fellow Canucks. But yeah, so that's some things. You can also look at those slip-on grippers you can put on shoes. But, just put it down, let it melt, and then get rid of it. But also you can look at things that are safer on concrete. And there's a few. Just type in safe for concrete ice melt and you'll find it. Next, this one was Letty Lou. Really proud of her. Her and her hubby changed out a double kitchen stainless steel sink all by themselves with very little help. But when she first got started, one of her questions was, any suggestion for the best way to get this sink out? And talking about a double stainless steel kitchen sink. Well, there's 2 things a lot of people don't realize, because, they typically are those flat stainless steel sinks that have the lips that just sit on top of the countertop. And they look like you could just grab the damn thing and pull it right out. But a lot of people find out, hey, we disconnect the water, we disconnect the drain, and the damn thing still won't come out. So if you get in and hold your tongue right and flip on your back and shimmy your ass in underneath the sink, and get a headlamp or a flashlight and shine it up in the microscopic gap between the sink and the front of the counter, you will see clamps. Most of them nowadays require a Phillips head screwdriver, and you just loosen them off, and eventually you loosen them enough they'll pull down. But basically what they are is a clamp that clamps up to the underside of the countertop and to the underside of the sink, and it sucks it into place. There's usually about 6, sometimes between 4 and 8 of them up underneath there. So you get all those off, you cuss a few times, you get a Charlie horse in your shoulder while you're doing it, all of that. And then when you're done, you go up and you try to pull the sink out and it still won't budge. because whoever installed it did a good job, and they put either silicone or plumber's putty underneath the lip of that sink. So when they pushed it down, sucked it into place, it basically adhered it to the top of the counter. So then what you want is a putty knife or a razor blade or a scraper, something that's nice and flat that can get in under there, and you want to break that bead all the way around. So you want to go all the way around with whatever sharp thing you have. Then you should be ready to just pick up the sink and throw it through a window. Remove it from the countertop. So there you go. And the last but not least, this was for Matt from Telegram as well. And he said, hey, I'm a complete noob when it comes to buying bulk meat. That's what she said. Said about how much freezer space for a quarter of a cow. So the thing is, one thing that I've realized since we started buying a quarter and then we moved over to a side of beef, it doesn't take as much space as you think. I don't know if Josh, the Renegade Butcher's in here now or not. But, excuse me, a quarter share will definitely not quite fill up an apartment-sized freezer. So 5 to 7 cubic foot freezer is more than enough for a quarter of a beef. An 8 to 10 cubic foot freezer is more than enough for a half a cow. I've got one behind me. It's either 12 or 16 cubic foot and a half cow. A side of beef filled up about half it. A side of beef this year, when we picked it up, was 6 milk crates overflowing. That's not that much. It seems like it's going to be a lot. Now, that's a lot of beef to eat. But I'm certainly up for the task. But when it's flat packed and put away, it does not take up as much space. You need space. 18 Sexy is saying, find love in U.S.A. Can't even be bothered to type it out full. So let's get rid of this guy as well. Boy, we've had a few scammers in here tonight. So yeah, it doesn't take as much space as you think for beef. It takes up some. But if you have a decent size apartment freezer, a quarter of a cow, a quarter of a beef will fill it, but not to overflowing. So I hope that helps. Yeah, it's going to be a good week this week, guys. I did not think we would make it through all of these questions tonight, but we did. And it was only 4 pages. Sometimes it's more than that. So yeah, we got, what do we got coming up? So Tuesday? Yeah, I believe it's Tuesday. Robin Holstein. Hey, poor Jake from Ravenwood Acres just shows up. He says, good evening, Tim. And now we're all going to take off on him, poor guy. Good to have you. But yeah, do not forget, I'm going to be on Robin Holstein's podcast. It's good. Hey, Tim Gallowick. And I had you. I don't know if you missed it, brother, or not, but your question opened tonight's show about, you asked me to do a segment on the apps and social media and that sort of thing. So if you didn't catch that, go back and re-listen to the first half hour of the show because I spent a long time digging into it. He said, Tim says, I might be wrong, but I believe you're talking about a thermometer in your freezer that you can check through your phone to tell if your freezer is working. Was that you? That was me. It's called the GoV Freezer Alarm. Love the thing. It looks like a little white pod. It takes 3 AA batteries. I've had them for about 2 years. I believe I've only changed the batteries twice, and I use rechargeable Eneloops in them, which are apparently notorious for not loving the cold weather, but they're great. They're Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so I can sit here, connect through Bluetooth, and download all of the information. Or if I'm away from home, these things connect to my Wi-Fi, and I'm able to log in and check the temperature in my freezer from around the world. Love them. They're $34.99 on Amazon USD, and they come on sale for about $5 off quite often. But they're great. They've been very good. Nicole Sauce from Living Free in Tennessee has been trying a new system out above this one. She really likes it. I haven't picked any up to test them yet. But the GoV, and the thing is, these GoV alarms weren't even designed for freezers, but I've managed to make them work, and they've held up way better than expected. And they are immensely, immensely better than the traditional freezer alarm system. It's like before, when cars never had power steering, you didn't miss power steering. But as soon as power steering come in, you're like, how the hell did I steer that old boat manually, right? Well, the old freezer alarms, I picked one up about 3-4 years ago. They're junk. They don't hold a connection. They chew through the batteries. They totally drop the connection all the time, and they're unreliable. You can't check them from a phone. They're just stuck to the side of your fridge, and you're like, no. So I tried them. I hated them, but it was all there was. And then one day I went on to Amazon, and I'm like, I need to find something better. And I typed in this thing, and the Govee freezer alarm was brand new. It only been out about a month. I said, hell, I'm going to try one. I bought one. I loved it so much. I bought 2 more about a month later. There are, if you go to toolmantim.shop, you will find, I may even be able to, let me see if we can bring it up while we're talking. I have over at toolmantim.shop, there are a ton, about 250 products that I've used and tested out and that sort of thing. So you can go by there, check it out. You'll find all the links to all the things. And I'm going to see if I can find the Govee freezer alarm for you, and I will post the link here in the description. But yeah, the thing works great. It has a little light on the front that blinks so that you know that it's working. And we'll bring it up here for you. There you go. Here is the Amazon affiliate link for, there we go, Amazon affiliate link. And Chris Dixon says, start your shopping there anyway. Support the Toolman. Thank you, brother. So there's the link to it. But yeah, they're dirt cheap, and I don't know, they're built like a brick shithouse. The thing has held up really well for a couple of years now. I believe I'll have to check, but I'm coming up on 2 years from when I picked those up. And the battery life is immensely better than the traditional freezer alarms. So yeah, check them out, man. But I hope you enjoy the segment I did for you, Tim, as well, because yeah, that was a good one. Thank you for requesting it. I always love when you guys, and if you have ideas of things you'd love me to cover, I'm always looking for things that I can yammer on about when I'm driving. That's my favorite time to record some of these like half-hour episodes. But yeah, I've got some good ones coming up for you. Let's see, what did I record? I did one on standardized systems for you. I did one on essential media to take into a bomb shelter with you. I'm pretty excited about that one, and I can't remember what the third one was right now, but you guys will enjoy them. They'll be coming out over the next couple of weeks. And, you know, right now I've been doing the Fridays are pre-recorded, and if I happen to be away for one of the other days, I'll throw up another Ramblings from the Road episode for you. But I'm going to say, guys, that should do it for this evening. Like I said, remember, I'm going to be on Robin's show this week. Come by, join the Telegram group. If you're looking for a last-minute gift idea for Christmas, try the Patch of the Month Club or patchofthemonth.co. Sign somebody up, and I will do up a nice little gift thing and send them along. Hey, Hoss, good to have you. Have a great night, brother. And guys, as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a Merry Christmas.